Okay. Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue dans la salle de presse de la Commission européenne pour notre Midday Briefing. Merci de nous suivre également en ligne et en direct sur Europe by Satellite aujourd'hui, lundi, le 27 septembre 2021. Pour commencer cette semaine, permettez-moi de vous rappeler que la présidente von der Leyen est aujourd'hui à Bucarest pour présenter l'évaluation de la Commission du plan national roumain pour la reprise et la résilience. Une conférence de presse de la présidente, ensemble avec le président Klaus Iohannis et le Premier ministre Florin Câțu, est prévue vers 17h15, heure de Bruxelles cet après-midi. Vous pouvez la suivre en direct sur EBS+. Then, tomorrow, President von der Leyen will start her Western Balkans tour with Tirana. That's the first stop in the morning. In Tirana, the President will meet the President of Albania, Ilir Meta, and the Prime Minister, Edi Rama. With the Prime Minister, she will attend the inauguration of the Corbu Mucea School and Europa Kindergarten. This was rebuilt with EU funds under the EU for Schools program after the devastating earthquake of 2019. In the afternoon, President von der Leyen will be in Skopje, where she will meet the President, Mr. Stevo Pendarovski, and the Prime Minister Zoran Zaev. You will find details of her trips also in our daily news of today. That's all for the announcements of the day. Now I will open the floor for any questions you may have. I first look in the room. Please introduce yourself, because with masks I'm not always sure I recognize you. Is that Georgi? That's good. Go ahead, Georgi.
Thank you, Dana. It's me indeed. It concerns a little bit also the program of President von der Leyen in the region. She will meet the President of Albania, Edi Rama, who is today in Kosovo, in Pristina, meeting with the Prime Minister of Kosovo in a very tense context. And you mentioned the EU projects she's going to inaugurate and so on, but there is a heavy political background, obviously. In the reactions so far from your side, you have highlighted that both sides, meaning Belgrade and Pristina, should de-escalate. But since today we have one more player in the game, that's Albania, and I wonder if you have some messages at this stage regarding this, visit of the President of Albania to Kosovo.
Thank you very much, Georgi, for the question. So allow me to repeat what are the premises of the President's Western Balkans tour and what broad messages she will carry to the region. First of all, she will express with this visit to the Western Balkan countries her attachment to the region and to the European future of the region. And secondly, of course, with every leader that she will meet, starting with Albania tomorrow and North Macedonia in the afternoon, she will discuss topical, political and regional developments. As to our specific situation involving the current, let's say, escalation between Kosovo and Serbia, we have made very clear every day last week where we stand and how important it was for the party to sit down together and to put an end to the verbal escalation in the region and to find rapidly a solution to that situation. I can call upon Peter to provide further details of how else we can engage with the actors in the region to that respect.
Hi, Georgi. Thank you. I think right now the EU was very clear that the key word is de-escalation, and this is primarily the responsibility on both sides, in Kosovo and in Serbia. I can only recall the latest statement by the High Representative Borrell issued yesterday on the issue, where he called yet again for both sides to unconditionally de-escalate and to make sure that all steps that are taken on both sides, by the leaderships on both sides, lead towards the de-escalation. And the first positive step will be the chief negotiators from both sides coming to Brussels to use the platform of the dialogue to discuss the way forward, and the way forward means de-escalation, because this is not good. What is happening right now is not good for the people in Kosovo, not good for the people in Serbia, and also it's not good for the region.
Thank you very much. Georgi, go ahead.
At this stage, no messages for Tirana, because Tirana is obviously playing a role, but you have no message at this stage.
Georgi, as I said, the president will be in Tirana tomorrow. She will meet the leaders, both the president and the prime minister, and she will address with them all important issues of the day regarding bilateral as well as regional issues. We would be happy to provide you a readout of that discussion, but it would be improper on our side to give a readout of that meeting in advance. Are there any other questions on this matter today? I believe that Dusan has a question about this, so Dusan, go ahead.
Yes, it's a follow-up to the same question. Peter mentioned the press release by High Representative Borrell and the first expected step to negotiators, chief negotiators coming to Brussels. So is that something confirmed? Do you have agreement from two sides that they would come in the coming days to Brussels? If yes, could you say when? And second question, we understand also that U.S. State Department representative envoy for the Balkans, Mr. Escobar, would come to Brussels also these days to discuss the situation in the north of Kosovo with EU representatives. Could you comment on that and confirm this information? Thank you.
Thank you, Dusan. First, in the statement by the High Representative issued yesterday, High Representative was very clear when he stated that both chief negotiators coming to Brussels in the coming days is a first positive step. So we hope that the meeting will take place, and when we have more details to announce, we will do so. Second thing about Mr. Escobar, the EU impersonated or represented by the High Representative, by the EU Special Representative Miroslav Lajčák and others, are since day one heavily engaged in diplomatic outreach with both sides of this dispute and with international partners. There are a lot of diplomatic activities going on both on the ground in Belgrade and Pristina. There were a lot of diplomatic activities going on in New York. High Representative met the President of Kosovo, Foreign Minister of Kosovo in person. He had phone calls with Prime Minister Kurti, with President Vučić. Then he repeated those calls again yesterday. And there is other engagement at all levels beyond or below the High Representative. So EUSR is engaging with partners in the region and internationally. But this is a diplomatic engagement which is quite usual in such situations. So I wouldn't go into details of announcing specific meetings with specific officials within the Commission or External Action Service. But a lot of diplomatic activities going on both now in Brussels and on the ground.
Thank you very much. I believe that Momcil has a question on this very subject. So Momcil, if that's the case, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. My question is about the visit of the President von der Leyen to the Republic of North Macedonia. Could we expect some message to Bulgaria to be delivered during that visit, taking into account that Bulgaria is blocking the accession negotiations with the Republic of North Macedonia?
Thank you very much for your question, Momcil. As in the case of Albania, I can tell you that the President will be there tomorrow afternoon. She will meet, as I said at the beginning, the leaders of the country, both the President and the Prime Minister, and she will address with them bilateral issues pertaining to the relationship of North Macedonia with the EU, as well as regional issues. And I would be happy to offer you a readout of what was discussed beyond the communication, which we are going to put out after the meeting has taken place tomorrow. But obviously, the perspective of accession negotiations between North Macedonia and EU is part of the broader discussion because, as I said, the President's aim, one of the aims of her visit, is to reaffirm her attachment to the region and its the prospective accession to the EU of these countries when the situation and the timing is right and the negotiations have been completed. But that's all I can say today ahead of the meetings between the President and the leaders of North Macedonia. Are there any questions on this matter for us today? I see that Mose has his hand up. I wonder if it's about this, about the President's Western Balkans tour or not. So only keep your hand up if that's the case.
It is.
If that's the case. So go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Dana. I would also like to ask a question to Peter about this new sudden escalation of tension in the relations between Kosovo and Serbia. I suppose for those who are not following, let's say, this issue continuously, it might come as a surprise, considering that there have been, I think, since last year, resumed a new dialogue between the two countries on solving the bilateral issues with the support of EU, of course. So my question is, what happened? I mean, why this sudden, let's say, outbreak of tension or escalation? Has the dialogue totally failed? What is your comment to that?
Thank you very much, Mose. A very difficult question for Peter to explain the origin or the causes of the current situation.
And I think this is a very good question for those directly involved in these current tensions, not really for us. I mean, since we relaunched the existing dialogue, which has been running since 2011, last summer, we were always trying to convey the message to both parties that the only way how to achieve the European future for the citizens of both in Kosovo and Serbia leads through this EU-facilitated dialogue, because this dialogue has an objective, and the objective is to achieve a compromise about legally binding, comprehensive agreement about normalization of relations between Kosovo and Serbia. And this is what the EU is offering in terms of its facilitation. So our services are there for both parties to help them to address any grievances they might have vis-à-vis each other, any open issues they might have. So we are trying to help them to find the necessary compromise to put an end and solve in an amicable and mutually agreeable way all the disputes and open questions. So this is what we are trying to do. And regarding the recent tensions which erupted last week or 1 week ago, we keep saying that you should, instead of doing unilateral steps or engage in unilateral provocations, you should use the platform of the EU facilitated dialogue to solve all the issues which have impact on the other side. And this is what we try to do. So dialogue has not failed, because the failure is always the failure of the two sides who are not able to agree. And we believe that in the end, it will be possible for both sides to agree. We are there offering our best services with the best will and goodwill to help them to facilitate, and we stand ready to continue doing so. That's why High Representative yesterday in his statement referred to the meeting of both chief negotiators coming to Brussels in the coming days as a first positive step towards finding the solution to this current dispute and to de-escalate the situation, because what is urgently needed is the de-escalation of the situation.
Thank you very much, Peter. Are there any additional questions on this subject for us today? If so, please raise your hand. That's not the case. Are there any additional questions for Peter on broader foreign affairs matters, as he is on the podium right now? Yes, Nawab, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I would like to ask your reaction to the violence yesterday in the West Bank, where 5 Palestinians were reportedly killed by Israeli troops. Thank you.
Thank you. As as we say always, when these clashes are happening and when people are dying unnecessarily, we are of course sorry for any loss of life, and this only underlines the need to find a sustainable solution to the situation in the occupied territories and in Israel, because the continued clashes, the continued loss of life is not a way forward. This is not a sustainable way. So while we regret these fatalities and the violence that happened, we are also saying one more time that it's really, really important to engage in reviving meaningful negotiations between two parties, because only in these negotiations by two parties solutions can be found for the benefit of people on both sides and to prevent us from witnessing these unfortunate events time and time again.
Thank you very much, Peter. Are there any additional questions for Peter on foreign affairs matters today? That doesn't seem to be the case. Thank you very much, Peter. And now I will open the floor to other questions. Yes, Katalin, you were waiting patiently.
Thank you, Dana. This is a question about the National Recovery Plan. Thursday is the tentative deadline for an agreement between Hungary and the European Commission on the Hungarian Recovery Plan. I know I understand that you do not comment on the content of the negotiations, but I am wondering where these negotiations stand now. Does the Commission expect an agreement in 4 days' time on Thursday? Yes, basically, what are the prospects of an agreement on Thursday? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katalin. You will understand that this is a highly speculative question. I cannot say 4 days in advance whether we are heading towards an agreement or not. All what I can tell you is that from the Commission's side is that we are engaged faithfully in this negotiation process, and we hope to reach an agreement with our partners at the national level as soon as possible, but I cannot give you any additional information on whether there will be such an agreement before the end of September. That's all I can say at this stage. Are there any additional questions on this matter? Christian, je pense que tu veux poser une question là-dessus. Vas-y.
Oui, je voudrais rebondir sur ta déclaration. Est-ce que ça veut dire qu'on peut imaginer un nouveau délai pour poursuivre l'analyse?
Christian, je ne suis pas en mesure de te dire qu'est-ce que se passe après la fin du mois. Comme je dis, nous sommes encore en train de discuter avec nos partenaires du gouvernement hongrois et jusqu'à ce qu'on arrive à la fin du mois, il m'est impossible de te dire quels sont les scénarios et je ne pourrai pas le faire. De tous les points de vue, ce ne serait pas sage de commencer à analyser des scénarios différents théoriques qui puissent se présenter à la fin du mois. Juste, les discussions continuent. Christian, je pense que tu veux rebondir. Vas-y.
Oui, et j'ai la même question pour la Pologne, qui, elle, n'a même pas de deadline. On a des négociations qui continuent sans que vous ayez dit s'il y avait un deadline ou pas. Et ma deuxième question, elle est bête, mais pourquoi vous donnez des deadlines? Et le deadline, c'est le 30. La plupart des États membres ont donné, ont respecté les deadlines, ont été approuvés. On a 2 cas qui sont compliqués. Donc vous dites qu'effectivement, il faut qu'ils remplissent les 11 critères. Et on n'arrive pas à savoir si vous jouez la montre, s'il y a vraiment des problèmes et s'il y a des chances d'aboutir. Je ne veux pas te demander plus, mais ma question, elle est, ces deadlines, ça turlupine vraiment tout le monde.
Merci beaucoup pour avoir rebondi, Christian. Effectivement, dans le cas de la Pologne, les discussions continuent également. Nous n'avons pas à ces jours-ci une évaluation du plan qui puisse nous conduire à faire des annoncements. Donc, nous continuons notre engagement et nos discussions avec nos partenaires de Varsovie. Comme tu l'as dit, effectivement, là, on n'a pas annoncé un objectif de finir jusqu'à une certaine date, mais nous espérons que les discussions vont aboutir de deux côtés, avec la Pologne et avec la Hongrie, aussi vite que possible, nous restons engagés dans des discussions avec ces deux gouvernements. L'important, d'avoir un plan des relances et des résiliences nationales qui apporte tous les avantages que nous escomptons pour les Hongrois et pour les Polonais, et ça reste cela notre objectif. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions à ce sujet? Je n'en vois pas, donc j'ouvre la discussion à d'autres sujets. Il y avait Léa qui attendait depuis un moment dans les chats. Léa, vas-y.
Merci beaucoup. Léa Marchal, l'Agence Europe. I have two trade questions. The first one is about the appointment of the 4 experts last week by the Commission for Trade Disputes. I was wondering if those 4 experts will only be selecting the arbitrators that will fill the pool of arbitrators, or if they will also assist the Commission in selecting actual panels for specific trade disputes in trade agreements. So that's my first question for their role. And the second one is, could you confirm here that the Commission will extend the export control mechanism for vaccines after the 30th of September? Thank you very much.
Merci, Léa. Thank you, Léa. Miriam is joining me on stage to provide you answers to both questions.
Thank you, Leah. On your first question, as it's quite technical, I will come back to you bilaterally with the details. On the second question, on the extension of the export authorization mechanisms, I can confirm that the Commission has made a proposal to extend the mechanisms until the end of the year. The proposal is now being discussed with member states, so we cannot anticipate at this stage what will be the final decision.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Are there any additional questions for Miriam for the subject, the export mechanism? So please raise your hand only if you have questions about that. I don't see any. Any other questions for Miriam on trade-related issues? That's not the case either, so thank you very much, Miriam. Are there any other questions? Yes, Georgi, go ahead.
Thank you, Dana. It's a question on energy, Hungary and relations with Russia, Gazprom, etc. Today, Hungary is signing with Gazprom a contract for long-term delivery of Russian gas. I think it's about 15 years contract. And if my memory is good, the Commission's policy has been that those contracts should be replaced with sales according to the spot price of gas, and also that countries are advised not to contract gas individually, but rather this should be joint purchase with the help of the European Commission. So I was wondering if what Hungary does it contradict EU policies? Do you have a reaction on that? Thank you.
Georgi, Tim, join me promptly to provide an answer.
Yeah, Georgi, I've seen those stories in the media as well of a reported signature today, but it's something that we haven't seen any confirmation of and any details of as yet. So it's really too early for me to offer any kind of reaction and commentary. I'm happy to come back bilaterally afterwards if you want to discuss that with our experts.
Georgi, follow up.
Yes, discussing bilaterally is always useful, but maybe you can say from the podium what is the EU policy concerning gas purchases, just to be on the same page and to use it in our coverage. Thank you.
I'm going to have to apologize and have to get back to you on specifically what I would be able to say on this, but I'm happy, of course, to give you something on the record that you can use in your reporting and to share that with anybody else that needs it as well.
Thank you very much, Tim. Are there any additional questions for Tim on energy today? That is not the case. Thank you, Tim. So at this stage, I will open the floor for any other questions on other topics today. Yes, go ahead.
Fabio Fantozzi, La Press News Agency. I would like to know if the Commission has any comments on the political results on the vote in Germany, and if it's concerned about the extension of the negotiations on the political decision process.
Thank you very much. We do not have any comments to offer on the results of elections in Germany or in other places where elections have taken place over the weekend or recently. We always follow with interest the developments in our vibrant democracies in the EU, but we never comment, and we shall not in this case either. Are there any questions on other matters? Yes, Oliver.
Actually, not a question, but a comment. Your Vice President Margaritis Skinas congratulated the new mayor of Lisbon quite enthusiastically on his election victory in Lisbon. So, I mean, either you do comment on political events or you do not comment on political events. And if the congratulation on a certain political event is a function of the political affiliation of who the winner is, then I think we have a very peculiar understanding of what the so-called political commission is. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oliver, for launching this question, allowing to clarify our stance on this. It is indeed our habit as a commission to congratulate new prime ministers or new stakeholders that have been elected to office or who have taken the oath. Whatever the political color of government leaders or presidents in EU member states, it is indeed a tradition that we do congratulate or that we do install a dialogue early on with the new stakeholders at political level in the member states. That is different from commenting on the results of an election at the national level, which hasn't yet resulted in a government being formed, which is a completely different matter altogether. So indeed, you can expect the Commission to react to the formation and to the installment of a new government in any EU member state. That is indeed our tradition, but not to issue comments hours after an election where negotiations at the national level are taking place. That is two different matters altogether. Are there any additional questions on this matter or others? That doesn't seem to be the case. So thank you very much and see you tomorrow.